Hello everybody. We're going to do our design test today. So what that means is that we're going to try to understand the shapes that we have available, the ones that we want to stay with and the ones that we want to avoid. And we're going to try to break down these two shapes by using these above here in the lowest amount of cuts possible without taking out too many details, because everything is always kind of modified, and you have to do that with stained glass, because even if you type in simple stained glass design on Google or something, you're going to run into stuff that we just can't cut out on that. So you have to come up with a way of doing it. So first off, you're going to try to stay with easy shapes for sure. You want to stay with still easy. Moderate is something is definitely capable of doing. Difficult is doable, especially this one and this one. This one gets really tricky. A lot of times they snap in the middle or something or whatever. The painful ones we want to avoid, and the impossible we definitely do not want to attempt because they're just too hard. These are real thin. This is where it's going to break all the time. Same thing here. You just can't go in and do this sharp of a cut. Same thing here. It's just too thin, and this is too much of a right angle as well. So here are the rules. No shapes harder than difficult. No more than 4 converging lines or points of a shape. What that means is that you can't have, you can have this where you might have a square, 4 squares run into each other. So 1, 2, 3, 4. But you can't have maybe shapes like this, where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When you start getting into this, these points on each one of these shapes becomes narrower and narrower, and they snap off really easily. And then you just have a big glob of solder there. It doesn't look really good. So there are exceptions to this when you actually do your real project, but for the most part, this is a good rule to kind of have. You can round or square off existing lines, so you can modify your drawings. And you can erase some details in the design. That might not be super important, okay? So what I want you to do is you are going to try to break up this space. Your background is part of it, and we want to see who can get the lowest amount of shapes possible, okay? By also avoiding these. One thing that I want you to also consider is that you cannot have right angles. You can cut like the square out, but you can't cut this L shape out. Okay, glass, when you start cutting it, it wants to continue. Which means if you draw a line here and you draw a line here, you try breaking that, it's just gonna cut right along those lines. Okay, good luck on that, and we'll see what you can come up with. Now that you had a chance to do this yourself, let's see how many shapes I can come up with on this. So first off, I noticed that the tusks are a problem because they come up to a point. So I have to extend that line. And I understand that that line could extend like this, it could extend like this, it could extend like this. There is a lot of flexibility in that. But I know if I want to keep the tusk, of which I do because it's an important element, I want to make sure that I have those lines. So those are 2 things right there. I know you run into the same problem here with this ear. This is too much of a hard cut to do. So we need to bring this ear shape out. Again, maybe I don't like that line there. Maybe I want to have it here, or here. You have choices in that. I know this is going to be a problem. So maybe I'll have this come off there and probably there. This shape is doable. That's doable. That's doable, although I don't like the way this looks. So I'm actually going to change this. And I'm going to extend this line out like that instead. I like that better. And I like that even better. This is an impossible shape, so I'm going to go, a lot of times if you can go to corner, this becomes kind of a tricky shape, coming in here and going across like that. So just to be on the safe side, I think I will put one there. Then this becomes easy, and I don't feel like I'm breaking that up too much. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right now I have 7. You could probably get away with 6, but 7 is a little on the safe side. Okay, so now let's break up this shape. So we have this real thick black line. I want to separate the ear, kind of to help define the ear. So this is a shape here. There is a way to do the eye, but we do have paint for glass that if you want to have a little eye, a little texture, we can do that. So I'm going to avoid that whole area. If I did want to keep it, I could draw a line like this and break that up if I wanted to, but I don't want to do that. We also have glass drops, that you might get like at a Dollar Tree or Walmart. Those little drops of glass that look like this. They're kind of a little weird shape sometime. You can incorporate those in your design if you think ahead about it. So this is going to be out. This is a good shape still. This will be a little bit of an issue, so I'm going to turn this into a shape. So I'm 7, 8, 9, 10. This is too much of a curve, so I think I can get away with, I'm not going to put this detail in. Let's see here. I like the idea of bringing this down like this. And then I think this one's doable, except for this last part here, which maybe I can draw a line like that. That'd be kind of tricky. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And I think those are all doable. Okay, so my highest was 15. Circle it. If you have something different, if you have something less than that, let's talk about that in class. Okay, now that we've had this, you are much better at understanding things. So let's break the B apart. Okay, now that you broke the B apart, let's see how I do it. And again, there's never really a right or there's a wrong answer, but there's not really a right answer. There's like a good answer, a better answer, and maybe like the best answer. Okay, as long as you're avoiding impossible shapes and painful shapes, there's lots of ways to do it. This one could have had 20 shapes, but you do want to try to really keep the amount of cuts down as low as possible because it allows you to go faster with the project. You don't see all these solder lines all over the place, so that it's about the color, not all the solder that you have. Okay, so I have this. I'm going to work on this here because right here, this is an impossible shape. So I know I definitely need to break this up. So now I have 1 converging line, 2 converging lines, 3 converging lines. So I got to be a little careful about adding more lines in here. This is one of those, it starts to get to impossible, definitely painful shapes. So I think I'm going to have another line here. I think this is doable. This gets kind of in your crescent shape you kind of cut. So I want to continue that line across here. So I think that's fine. This is really hard. So I think I could do 2 things. I could draw a line here and here, or I could draw a long line here. I think I like to keep this as colorful as possible. So I think I will go with this one here and here. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I got 7 for the background. Same thing here. I think I want to extend this line. Definitely an impossible shape. Be a little careful about converging solder lines all the time. Sometimes they look good. You can ask yourself, do I like the way that looks? Because it does kind of have a continuous look. I didn't draw it really well because it's at an angle. And sometimes it looks better if you put it off to the side. I actually don't like that. I think I like it the other way better. And I want to bring this up. This is where I might find the actual center of this. So do that one there. So it's just a continuous line. This I have to deal with. So I think I like the idea. It gets thin here. Let's see here. I think I'm gonna do this. have to have another line there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not breaking my rule here. That's doable, that's doable, that's doable, this is doable. I think this will be okay. If I struggle with it, I can break that B down one more time, but I think I can get that cut. So I'll leave that. So where am I at? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Again, 15 is my magic number. Again, let's talk about a class. If you have something that's better than that, and we'll see if you maintained, this area, and we'll just see. Thanks. Okay, now that you got that done, we're going to do this one now. So we're going to look at this one first. So this one has something that you want to try to think about. Because again, I typed in simple stained glass design. I found this one right away. First off, let's talk as a class. Where is your impossible shape set? Good. So hopefully one of the first ones you noticed was the hat. The hat itself is fine, but the shape out here is impossible because you can't cut this off. Now they do have a stained glass saw that runs that you can actually cut these kind of shapes out, but we don't have that. We just have the scoring tool. So you need to kind of figure out how you'd break this up here. Other things that'd be hard would be like this wave design. So you're gonna wanna even make that even more like this. If you wanna have any kind of wave, you just don't wanna have it so harsh. All of these thin lines would be really hard. So this is where you would start grouping them. So we might have a group, right in here. You might have a group. I probably would get rid of this one tendril there. I would have a group here, and I'd have a group here. So I'd have 1, 2, 3 shapes. Okay. And even within the band, this one you could maybe cut out. This one, there's no way you could cut this one out because it's so thin, it'll just snap every single time. But you could combine them, and you could get that. So let's see how you can break the shape up and see if you can get the lowest number. Okay, so now on this one, lines are important, in terms of when you have your solder lines. They can draw your eyes to certain things. They can just make a mess of other things. So you want to put a lot of thought into it. So right now, I'm going to break this sun up. Now, I kind of want to use a ruler when I do this, but just for demos, I'm going to say that maybe this is my center right here, and I want to have lines coming from there to break the space up. I could draw lines like this. I could just be, haphazard all over the place. But I want to kind of focus on her. And I could have that dot right here if I wanted to. I could have it anywhere. But I'm looking at the shape now, and let's break this first part up here. I think right here. So you can imagine that I'm going all the way to this, line or that dot. And it's doable. Right here we have a problem. Okay, come back in, and this becomes a problem again. And then the chin kind of is a problem. This might be an issue. This definitely is an issue. So now I broke that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, kind of in 6 spots, okay? 8. I'm going to combine these together. That's 9, 10. Those are all doable. 11. You can't have a thin spot like this. They just snap all the time. So I'm going to draw a little line right there. 11, 12, 13. I'm going to ease this wave up a little more. 14, 15, 16, 17. Remember, one group here is 18. 18, and then there's another group here, 19. This group here is going to be 20. Her shirt, 21. This is kind of impossible, so we'll have to bring this line down, probably something like that. I could have crossed it this way too. So 22, and I think that's it. So So 22 is my final number to break that up. Okay. Last one is with the horse. Again, simple stained glass design. I'm not going to go through the whole thing on this one, but I am pointing out that, they did some things right on this, where anytime you ran to a point, you would draw a line from that, but they never did that in the hair. You'd have to have a point here. You'd have to pull this up. You have to pull this up. You'd have to pull this up. You have to pull this up. You have to pull this up. Pull this up. Pull this up. Pull this up. Pull this up somehow. This shape right here is really hard, so maybe a continuation of the mouth line right there. I think that would look good. So, and these would definitely be tricky, so I would actually soften these lines up. But I think this is doable. This will probably be a little bit of an issue here. Oh, there's more hair here. So either find a way to round that, or something like that. Otherwise, you're looking at a line here, a line here, a line here, a line here, a line here. You can see how complicated it can get. Okay, so just because you find something online doesn't mean you can just copy it verbatim. You have to be able to modify it. One thing else that I want to go over, scrap sheet of paper, is that when you start doing your final design, remember you have a 7x7 or a 6x6, is you want to you include the background. Everybody's doing a square or a rectangle. If you want to do a circle or something, that's kind of on your own time, and I'll show you how to do that. They're trickier, and I can't give you a frame on it. Is that you definitely, say your design is like this, you definitely want to leave a gap along here, like a good 3/4 of an inch or so. It's hard when you start putting stuff like this, where it just kisses the surface of it, because these areas right here are super thin, and they break all the time. So try to always give yourself a gap where you can end something like that back up again. Okay, this is a much better shape and a lot easier than cutting out this kind of shape. These will snap on you every single time. I cannot cut this out because they're just too thin. So when you start coming up your design, always make sure you leave a gap on that. Okay, other than that, hopefully that all made sense, and yeah, so good luck on that, and we will talk to you later. Thanks.